was my idea, and I have to preface this by saying I've had this idea for literally 10 years. When I first secured the license rights to the Strata catalog from Barbara Cox, who owns it, who lives in Detroit, one of the, obviously reissuing the records and, taking the stems and the multi-tracks and doing remixes. But then I was like, man, these are such great compositions. There needs to be a group, i.e. Jazzanova, to reimagine this music. You know what I mean? But it took me that long to get to this point to say, hey guys, I have this idea. What do you think about it? And it really happened during the pandemic. Stefan Lezering and we sat down. I think it was spring or summer 2020.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, and we discussed it, and he went back to the guys and they said yes. And so that's how the project between us two kind of combined. And I should also say that both Stefans I just recently met in the last couple of years. The members of Jazzanova that I knew were Alex Bark and Jürgen from Jazzanova. Those were the two. Then I met Klaas later on. And then I knew there was a live band, so I met them as well too. So that's my part of it.
Yeah. Also, just to explain a little, so Jazzanova is like a big group of people. We have 3 DJs, 2 guys producing in the studio, and then we have the live band. And there's so many possibilities to be active in the world. Like also, especially this project that was really like, we were running into an open door kind of thing. Like, when Amir was asking us, it was totally clear to do it for us, like a no-brainer, how you say also in English. Because we are interested in those old records and we collect them and we love them. And it's such a great opportunity to reimagine them, kind of, like reinterpret them, make them part of how we see the music and the world. And I think that's that was a really big thing for us in the last months, to work on that project.
A whole year, right? I mean, we started recording in April, right?
Yeah, almost a year from now.
Yeah, but at the time, a year ago, we started like plotting out all the arrangements and doing all the pre-recording work, which was also a lot.
Yeah, because I should say also that the owner didn't have any of the original sheet music to a lot of the songs, so these guys had to like kind of make all of that from scratch. So that took a lot of time before we even got into the studio.
Yes.
So and I think also by the moment when you have the sheet music, you also have a different view on the music. Like we listen to the tracks a lot, but once they are on paper and you can give them to the horns, to like everyone in the band, it opens a new process, of course. I mean, everything was prepared and arranged, like Stefan did a lot, and I did a few things, and also Chris Adams. Well prepared, I would say, but also still there was a kind of an open process during when we were rehearsing and meeting and trying things out.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people in the band, right? And you want to have the input of everybody, like coming together and making something great. That's the idea behind like leaving some doors open to other ideas from other people.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea is just basically, I really wanted to expose this catalog to a wider audience, because when you hear Strata, if they know anything about jazz, they might think of Strata East, which was from New York City. They always get confused. I mean, Giles Peterson, when I first met him, he was always going on about Strata East, and I'm like, it's not Strata East, it's Strata, but it's an honest mistake, so I get it. Well, the process of me kind of like gravitating towards Strata and like really, learning more about it and learning more about Detroit basically came about. I always tell this story about like in like 89 or 90, a friend of mine from San Francisco, he wanted to trade a record with me. And he was like, I have this record, Lyman Woodard Organization. I had never even heard of Lyman at that time. So I'm like, should I take this trade or not? I took it, and then when I got the record, just the cover alone was amazing. And then the music was just knocked my socks off, right? And then when I got a chance to run Wax Poetics Records in 2007, I asked my man House Shoes. I said, House Shoes. I said, do you know anyone that knows Lyman Woodard? He was like, oh yeah, I know his son. So he put me together with his son, and I ended up reissuing that record. And then I went a step further, and Scion, when they were around and when they were doing events, they had this thing called the Scion IQ Museum. Do you remember that? So they asked me to do an exhibit on Strata. So I did, I got accepted. When myself and the film crew came to Detroit, I met the owner of Strata. And when I went into her living room and she brought all the masters and they were all in the living room, and I was just like, oh my God, like I was just having like the craziest, like, right? And I said to myself, this is your one and only chance to ask. And I asked her, I said, would you ever think about doing a license deal for this catalog? And she was like, yeah, sure. Like she was kind of like taken aback, you know what I mean? And I was like, yes, you know, and we went through, you know, some legal stuff. And then that's how I got to my journey of Strata and learning about Detroit. I mean, a lot of it's because of my hip hop background at Fat Beats. You know, I knew House Shoes. I've known Wajid for a long time. And, you know, who else? Mike Huckabee, all those guys I've known for a long time because they all used to work at record stores like Street Corner Music and Record Time and all these different places. And because of those connections, I was able to be put into this situation where I was introduced. I feel like it was like God pointed me in that direction. He was nudging me towards that.
At first, I think it's like a 25 or 26 year long history. So of course there's a lot of development and steps in between. In the very first step, 3 DJs started to play here in Berlin and Germany, locally, jazzy stuff in the clubs. Then me and my partner Axel joined for production, and it became kind of the Jazzanova you know now, which like the studio Jazzanova, not the live Jazzanova. That's again a little later. But yeah, we started doing remixes for, I don't know, UFO, Incognito, and I don't know, like many names. And that was like really the first step for Jazzanova, pure studio music. And DJs, we were like, no, we don't want to play that live because we don't know how to put that electronic stuff on stage in a good way, you know. We had a kind of a respect for that. But later on, like after the next album, we felt like we have to put this on stage. We want to present this, like we are more song focused now. We have live music also in the studio, so let's go on stage. And so we formed the live band 2009. First show was Giles Peterson at the Cargo in London 2009, and from then on, yeah, that's like the chapter actually for me. That changed everything, because now we have much more possibilities to play live and also to work in the studio. As you see, it's different from like our first 2 studio albums, for instance, or the last one also. So yeah, that's the story for me. I mean, there's a lot of little things in between. We still do remixes, and I would say there's always a pure electronic side we produce in the studio, but also like it's a spectrum from pure electronic to live. That's everything we can do in between. Yeah.
I mean, Stefan and I, we've talked about doing like a part 2, if you want to say it, or like a remix album. You know, I think because there's so many other songs, because again, even though Strata only released officially 6 records, I've been putting out all the songs and all of the albums that were never released. So they recorded a whole bunch of music, but they went out of business because they ran out of money quickly. And they had all this stuff that she had all these masters of stuff people I've never heard of, or like, you know, just the master would just have a name, no like year was recorded, nothing, no information at all, no artwork or nothing. Some of these records I had to make up the artwork and make up the names of the songs, you know, from just the chorus of the song or whatever, you know what I mean? So like, there's so much more music that could be covered, you know what I mean? So I would like for us to do one, but I mean, for right now, you know, when the record comes out, which we will all be very happy about, and to have the vinyl in our hands and things like that, and then the tour, I want us to be in front of people and to really like experience Jazzanova live and experience Strata, you know, in the sound of Detroit.
Right now, I'm working on 2 remixes for like typical Jazzanova remixes, not Strata released related, for Kid Funk in South Africa and for more Chiba in England. But that's basically roundabout it. Actually, I wanted to do some more stuff with the other Stefan. Some hip hop projects and instrumental music, and also I would like to do maybe another remix for the Strata catalog. Actually, I already have a favorite track.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna do one. That's for sure. We talked about it, and yeah.
So you know, there's that, and we have another single that is dropping on March 25th, Saturday Night Special. It's a cover version of the Lyman Woodard organization song Saturday Night Special, and Kayasi from Detroit, by way of Detroit, from Detroit, now living in Atlanta, did the remix, and then I and my production partners, Rita K, we did the other remix for that. Okay, so I just want to shout out that, you know, this record, Strata Records, The Sound of Detroit, reimagined by Jazzanova, is on my label, 180 Proof Records, distributed by BBE. It'll be out digitally and on CDs April 22nd. Unfortunately, the vinyl, to my chagrin and to my frustration, will not be ready until June 24th. But that's because of the global supply issues. There's not enough papers to make our jackets for the records. So we have to wait. But yeah, I also want to shout out Jazzanova for, you know, agreeing to do this record with me. It's been a lifelong, well, not all my life, but in the last 10 years, it's been a dream of mine to do. And it's been a pleasure working with these guys and get to know them and to say, hey, you know, we're actually friends, you know what I mean? And that was probably one of the best things that came out of this. So yeah, that's what I would love to shout out. And shout out Fusicology too, Ozzy, for, you know, hooking up the interview.